Hello, everyone. Once again, you are warmly welcome to my daily teacher Miss Simple. And today is an exciting day. You can hear from my voice. I'm so excited, not because of any special thing that happened, but because of the book on the chopping board, the drama that we are going to start analysis of today, titled The Marriage of Anansewa by Efwa Theodora Sutherland. People just call her Efwa Sutherland. Now, before I give you a brief history of whom Efwa Sutherland was, I want us to look at Kweku Anansi, the main character in this play. Now, Anansi is an imaginary character that is very present in the account of tale, and he is cunning, mischievous, intelligent. He's everything put together in an individual, in one person. And he achieves whatever he wants to achieve or whatever he sets his mind on, and is regardless, doesn't care about the effect of his actions or his means of achieving his aims on his victims. I prefer to call them his victims. Efwa Sutherland was a playwright or dramatist, a cultural activist. She was a poet, a director, authored a lot of children's books and poems. And this play happens to stand out among most of her writings to me or for me. And we'll zoom straight to looking at the plot summary. I wish I have the effrontery, I have the time and everything to give you the detailed analysis of the text. Maybe one of these days I'm planning to go live. So maybe when I come live, I'll get the opportunity to do that. Now, on the first slide, you can see a house, a school with red and a set S, an S in the red circle, then a man and a woman. Basically, the house is where Anansi lives. That's Anansi's home. And Anansi is the man there. And the girl whose words are encircled there is the famous Anansewa. Anansewa here basically means the daughter of Kweku Anansi. Now, basically, the next slide will give you more interpretations of this. So let's go there. So basically, Anansi is a very clever and a manipulative father. Clever because whatever he set out to achieve, he achieved it at the end of the day. He used very cunning and ingenious means, but he did achieve that. Manipulative because he was able to manipulate not only his daughter to play by his rules, but other famous, well-respected chiefs of the land of Ghana or different aspects of the country. Now, his aim is to alleviate himself from poverty, and he felt that the best way to do that is to train his daughter so that the daughter become a typist. During the time of this story, during the time of Koku Anansi, highly educated people end up being typists. So it's like the during and post-colonial times or era. But there was a problem, there was a hinge, there was a hindrance to the success of this plan, and that problem is financial. And Nancy wasn't having enough money that will enable him to pay his daughter's school fees. So if you look at what is in the cycle there and back to the first slide, it says, I want to go to school. It's been 2 weeks at home, meaning that the daughter has been sacked of school fees for 2 weeks, and Nancy couldn't raise the necessary resources of money to settle this debt. So the daughter has been with him in the house. Now let's continue. Okay, so what then happened was that Anansi has to decide or devise a plan. And the plan I have there, I would lie them or I will lie to them so I can get their money. Now you can see all these interesting images coming out. The man holding the money. These are the wealthy people that Anansi decided to con in order to make money from them. So now that you have this understanding, let me explain to you what happened. Anansi decided to get the highest bidder to marry his daughter, and he consulted four very famous and rich chiefs. So we have the chief of so we have Chief Kwesi, that's one of the chiefs, and he has a bald head. So we call him Chief Akwesi, the bald head. We have Chief of Sapasi, we have Chief of the Mines, and Chief who is Chief. So these are four worthy chiefs that Anansi sampled in order to get them, one of them, the highest bidder, the most befitting one to marry his daughter. Now this is where it's interesting. Anansi wasn't only chasing their money, but he was as well looking for the best person to marry his daughter. So when I go back, you can see the daughter with a typewriter there. So Anansi dictated letters for the daughter to type for these chiefs. So at the beginning of the whole typing, the daughter didn't know that she was the object of interest, or she is the object of interest. It was later on that she realized that the father was looking for the highest bidder. And if the father is looking for the highest bidder to marry his daughter, then the daughter has every right to say the father is trying to sell him out. But that didn't stop Anansi. Anansi never cared. So letters were sent out to these chiefs, and they all agreed to give or to marry Anansewa. So they started sending in valuable gifts, sending in money, doing what tradition demands of them. Don't forget, I told you he's a very cunning and intelligent character. Don't forget that he selected these chiefs because they know tradition. They are the custodians of the traditions of the land. Therefore, by agreeing to marry his daughter, they know what to do. And Anansi, in return, happily accepts all the gifts from all these people, and telling the chief, like each of them never knew from the onset that they were in a competition. So when he receives money from Chief Akwesi, the bald head, Chief of Sapasi isn't aware. Chief of Mines isn't aware. Chief who is chief isn't aware. None of them is consciously aware that they are in competition. So they only thought that, each of them thought that, okay, this woman is going to be mine. Now, a time came when an answer was supposed to make. So this was where the daughter complained that the letter is about me, you sell me to them, because of the kind of things that he was stating in the letter and receiving. So the daughter realized that the father was selling her to the high bidder. But the plot twist, the climax came when Anansi was expected to make a final decision on who should marry his daughter. Now here things became a little bit difficult for Anansi, because these are all very famous and respected people. And if care isn't taken, he might land in trouble. So he decided to fake the daughter's death. So he became, first Anansi becomes very worried because he cannot give the daughter to all the four men. And the best way to solve the problem is that he has to devise a clever trick. And the trick is that he announced by talking to the daughter, who wasn't ready to accept the plan from the beginning but had no choice. You can't deal with the mythical Koku Anansi, the tricky, cunning, intelligent Koku Anansi, and have your way around him. Never. So the daughter gave in at the end of the day, and they devised the plan. So the daughter was supposed to fake death. And Anansi announced to all the four thieves that Anansiwa has suddenly died. Now, when the news got to these people, this is where he wanted the best person for his daughter. So after hearing the news, Chief Akwesi, the bald head, Chief of Sapasi, and Chief of the Mine, they automatically withdrew their marriage proposal. They are not ready to marry any dead person. Don't forget, when you read the story, these chiefs are already married, or most of them are already married. So if your daughter is dead, then there's no need that we come up to come and do anything. Basically, as the chief of the land, if you are interested in a woman and a woman dies, there are some traditions to be performed. But these three chiefs I mentioned, Chief Akwesi the bald head, Chief of Sapasi, and Chief of the Mines withdrew their marriage proposal. By withdrawing the proposal, they don't owe Anansi any custom or tradition again because they were not legally married to uh, his daughter. Now, before I come to Chief who is Chief who didn't withdraw it, before the plan could manifest, Anansi has to kick out his two family members. So he lied to them. We can see on the screen. Anansi told me that our cocoa farm is on fire. Let's go to check its sister. So these two family members who came to visit Anansi were hindrances. So Anansi lied to them, and they don't. Cocoa is a very valuable asset of Ghanaians. And if you own one, that's a farm, you are respected depending on where you find yourself. And it is like highly proper source of income. So they left. Sanas was left with his daughter alone. Plans were put in place. But Chief, who is Chief, still insists on continuing the marriage arrangement. Even though Anansewa has suddenly died, or he has been told that Anansewa is suddenly dead, he is determined to prove his strong love, his strong commitment, his admiration and love for this lady. So basically, the master planner has won because he has gotten money from four different wedding chiefs and said the best man to marry his daughter. So here, loyalty came to play, and at the end of the day, chief who is chief, the wealthy rich man. So this is where condolences started flying in, but these three chiefs decided that they were not going to marry Anaswa again. Chief who is chief, I still want to marry her because I love her so much, or I love her so. So he decided to go ahead. So the chief who loves still wants to marry you. Let's do the acting now. So I'm showing you this screen to explain what I have said earlier. Rest in peace. That is an answer line there. Now, as a way of now he has gotten the best person for his daughter. So he decided to do a certain kind of incantation, prayer to bring back and mysteriously bring back the daughter to life. So because of this loyalty, Anansi revealed that Anansi is actually alive and that her death was part of a ploy. But he didn't actually reveal it directly. He said a prayer. The prayer is on the screen. Ancestors or ancestors, I am pleading with you. If it is your desire, as it is ours, that Chief Chief should marry Anansiwa, see to it that she returns to life. Wake her. See to it that Anansiwa awakes and returns to become a bride. And Anansiwa indeed awoke from the dead, or got awoken, or wakes up and became the bride. So basically, this is an intriguing story of a very intelligent man who used his brain and tactics or tricks to be able to get everything he wants, the world and the best man to marry his daughter. In the next session, I'll take you through some forms of characterizations which I believe will also help you to better understand the plot or the story. Bye bye.